It's not a great sequel, but it's better than you remember. All right, everybody, let's talk about Ocean's 12 that came out in 2004. Again, directed by Steven Soderbergh, and everyone is back. George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, Bernie Mac, the whole gang from Ocean's 11. The only two new additions is Catherine Zeta-Jones, who is the jilted lover of Brad Pitt's character, and we have Vincent Castle, who's not many people know who he is. He's a European actor, and I think he's most known for being married to Monica Bellucci. But he is the one that is basically the one man version of Danny Ocean's crew, and they're rivals in some way. He even has this interesting name called the Night Fox. He breaks into whatever place that he's stealing something from, takes whatever it is he's looking for, and then leaves like a little statue of Fox somewhere in there. Now, everything plays pretty well. I think the one thing about this movie that kind of is a detriment to it, even though it still works to a certain extent, is that one of the main draws of the original movie is that it takes place in Vegas. And the whole idea of doing this insane heist in the place where nobody steals money is probably like what is the more interesting kind of obstacle of it. In this particular one, they go to Europe and they have to steal this Fabergé egg. Now, the whole reason they have to do that is because now Terry Benedict, played by Andy Garcia, who's also back for a brief second, he's tracked everyone down. He knows it's them who stole from him. And even though he doesn't really have proof, he says, "You have X amount of time to pay me back, or you won't do anything else ever in this life." And so everyone kind of has to get together and say, all right, how much do you owe? How much do you owe? They pool their resources together to kind of figure out what they need to do. And then they're presented with this opportunity of if you steal this egg, you get the money for it, you can pay back Terry Benedict and escape with your lives. I didn't really buy it, I don't feel like Terry Benedict's character is much for redemption or second chances. But you're happy to see everybody back. You're happy to see like, okay, how are they going to solve these issues and get what they have to do done? So that part of it is intriguing, but I think for me that's a big flaw in the script. Is like I don't think you understand the character of Terry Benedict very well. But all right, I'll just enjoy the banter back and forth between all the different characters. And it's kind of nice to see them back together and have them operate. There's a really great heist scene where they're stealing something from this house in Amsterdam. Now, if you know anything about houses in Amsterdam, it's basically Amsterdam is Holland really is basically like a giant bowl, and so that's why they have the dikes. You can't call them anything else to keep it from flooding the entire country. And so there's a lot of water around. So what they do is they put these basically these jacks underneath this house from the water to raise up the water so that they can shoot this arrow in and that is somehow going to help them break in and get whatever it is that they're getting. That's a fun little scene. But when I saw them like literally lifting up the house, I was like, that doesn't seem very slick. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the whole thing of the Ocean's crew is that it's almost like a magician's trick. You know what I mean? And so it's like it's a simpler than you think. And then when I saw like these giant machines underneath this house, I was like, that seems a little too, I think like you're strong arming it, and kind of that takes the cleverness out of the equation. What I did like was the whole sequence where the Night Fox breaks into the museum at night and steals the egg. Now, you don't really know this is what's happening. This is in a flashback scene. So before that, let me backtrack a little bit. Uh, you see the Ocean's crew doing what they can to steal the egg before he does. And then they fail, but while they're, doing what they can to take the egg, you see him just at home stretching. And that seemed kind of random. I'm like, okay, okay, they're busting their ass trying to do this thing, and I guess he's just relaxing. So I guess maybe that's the juxtaposition that they wanted to capture in that sequence. And then when you finally see when he breaks in at night to the museum to take the egg, you see all of the security lasers are moving around, and it's random, and you can't really predict where it's going. And he's using his some of the skills that you see in that sequence where he's just stretching and moving his body in different ways. That's what he uses to escape the sensors. I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't like the reveal of how it is that they actually got the egg, you know? And so there's like a couple things that don't really work as well. There's the script I feel wasn't as tight as far as the way that the crew operates. It's not as good as the original. But it's still a good time. I understand the criticism of it. Um, but a lot of the charm, a lot of the attraction of Ocean's 11 is still here in Ocean's 12. It's just that the heist and theft sequences that were so well crafted in the first one didn't have as much care in this sequel. But those are my thoughts. What about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash that like button, give me a follow, and I'll see you guys next time.